Hello, today is Friday, January 28th, 2022. I hope you're having a wonderful day today. Thank you so much for letting us be a part of your day. If you have a great time and don't mind, please do post us, share us, or tell others about us. If you don't like what you hear, then simply tell no one. We have a double whammy today, boys. Today is National Blueberry Pancake Day and National Fun at Work Day. I know I'm having fun at work. What about y'all?
I know I'm having fun.
I'm having fun as well. I will say it would have been better with some blueberry pancakes.
It would.
Well, that brings me to it. So if y'all don't like blueberry pancakes, what is your preferred pancake?
I'll say chocolate. Chocolate, yeah.
We had this, I used to work at a kind of a brunch restaurant back in the day, and they had these Nutella and banana pancakes.
Ooh,
sounds good.
That were some game changers.
Really good.
That sounds good. And like, how do y'all like y'all's pancakes? Y'all like to put butter on them or...
Little butter.
Little butter.
Drain it with syrup.
Is there any other way to eat pancakes?
That's
true.
Right,
That's true.
exactly.
Well, we have a special guest today joining us from the Main Event podcast, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Ryan Baldwin.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Ryan, what brings you to the podcast today?
Well, I am now the official guinea pig, let's say, for KNTU podcasting. So that makes me the kind of guy that needs to sit around and look at stuff and pretend like I know what I'm doing. So I was just kind of wandering around and thought, hey, maybe these guys could use another fool on a stool. And y'all agreed. So thanks for letting me be a fool.
And for the record, I know we are an audio podcast. You are, in fact, on a stool.
I am, in fact, on a stool.
He is on a stool.
I think y'all gave me like the worst stool, but I can't
No, they're all
they're not
all
great.
just that
I
bad.
can't verify. Do I get to answer the pancake question? Y'all just gonna leave me on the pancake
go
discussion?
absolutely.
Let's hear it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there was this place where I used to live at, like right nearby. They had these bananas Foster pancakes where they like put the bananas in the pancake too. So it was like chunks of banana in the pancake. Yeah, and they had like the caramel sauce that you would do with bananas Foster. That was like the syrup.
Oh, that's good.
And like whipped cream on there.
Good.
Yeah,
Sure.
that was fire. That's probably my favorite pancake.
I definitely also don't mind like a little powdered sugar too. Some on some pancakes that are going sweet.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, the banana in the pancakes.
Game changer.
Very.
Game changer.
Sounds like it.
And they were like caramelized too already. So it was like, it wasn't just like a piece of banana. It was like a caramelized banana like you would bananas Foster in a
That sounds
pancake.
good.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
That
Well,
does sound good.
You spoke of a game changer, Ryan. Let's head over to the NFL. Let's talk about some hopefully game changing head coaching hires. Cullen, you got a report for us on the head coaching?
I do. Actually 3 NFL teams have recently signed new NFL head coaches for the upcoming season. The Denver Broncos have hired former offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett to be their new head coach. The Chicago Bears hired former defensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts. Pulling up his name here.
Matt
Eberflus. Eberflus. And the New York Giants hire, just before we started this podcast, Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator from the Buffalo Bills.
Wow.
3 new head coaching hires. Boys, what do we think about this?
That's crazy. I mean, for the Bills, you just had a fantastic game against Patrick Mahomes and that offensive coordinator, of what's his name again?
For the Bills, Brian Daboll.
Yeah, Brian Daboll. I mean, great opportunity being head coach, but I mean, like, I don't know what the Bills are going to do without him.
Well, I don't think the Giants are exactly in an enviable position here either. I mean, you've got the offensive coordinator of the Bills, but you're stepping into the Giants. So you've got a laundry list of problems before you even get there.
And I'm about to say, you're stepping into the problem of Daniel Jones. I know Daboll was a huge in the development of Josh Allen. He wasn't a total finished project coming out of Wyoming, and maybe he can work his magic with Daniel Jones again, but it's an uphill battle.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put – it's not like we're putting Daniel Jones on the same level as Josh Allen in terms of just beginning talent, what you have to work with, and like ceiling level, right?
Right.
So – I mean, I would put most of the Bears and the Broncos hires are aggressively average.
Mm-hmm.
Like nothing that makes me go, oh wow, okay. Now the Bills offensive coordinator is kind of interesting, but I think the Bills will be fine. I think they've got enough firepower to bring in another offensive coordinator and be fine. And I'm not, like I said, I don't envy anybody having to go into that situation in New York right now.
No, yeah, that's a I mean, it's a true reset. I mean, they let go of their longtime GM David Gettleman. Obviously, they fired Joe Judge as well. Personally, to me, Denver, I know you said the name is fact. He is the son of former NFL head coach Paul Hackett, that coached in the NFL for several years. Do I have to say the obvious? I mean, this is definitely a ploy to try to get Aaron Rodgers from Green Bay to Denver, is it not?
For sure. Absolutely.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
Pretty sure there's about 7-8 teams that are trying
I mean,
everything
right,
they
but,
can
like,
do to get Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers was quoted in an interview last year talking, praising Hackett, saying he doesn't know how he's a head coach yet, and that he believes that he wants him to be around, like he wants to be in his coaching staff. Now, that was obviously last year when he won his first MVP with the Packers out of the 2-year run he's about to receive, but I think it was a smart move by Denver. Again, not the most sexy hire, but I think it's a smart one in order to try to get a quarterback there for the first time since Peyton Manning.
I mean, it just depends. It just depends on what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. I mean, do I think that going to Denver is a better situation? Absolutely not. Staying in Green Bay is probably the best decision for him to do. But, I mean, even if you move Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams is going with him. Wherever Aaron Rodgers goes, Devontae Adams
Really?
is definitely
Devontae
follow.
Adams, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy is a top 3 receiving core in the NFL instantly.
That's
I don't even know if you could. They're top 3, and they're not 2 or 3, in my opinion, because I don't know if you could really. I mean, off the top of my head, right? You got Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. You got the Cowboys, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb.
Oh, Cup, Von Jefferson, and Odell.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and Robert
Oh,
Woods
yeah.
coming back.
And
too.
Robert Woods.
right there.
That's a
Yeah.
spicy receiving core right
So
there.
we might have something to look out for next year whenever it comes to wide receivers.
Right. And one more thing on the Chicago Bears hire, because Eberflus was a very well-liked man in Indianapolis. I believe he can be a good coach. Again, not a sexy hire, as we kind of mentioned. They've got to get the offensive coordinator right. Justin
they
Fields
do.
has to work. Like, they haven't had a quarterback since, you could argue maybe ever, maybe since that 85 team. But they need to get this offensive coordinator right so they can develop Justin Fields, and he could be the future of this division.
Yeah, I think their quarterback for their Super Bowl run was Rex Grossman back in the 2000s.
It was.
And that was what you were working with?
I was sitting there in my head trying to think about it. I was like, do I really want to say Jay Cutler right now? Or Rex Grossman.
The
Oh, my goodness.
The other unenviable part about Denver right now, right, is that you go in, and if you can't get Aaron Rodgers, you're dealing with either Teddy Bridgewater, which I feel so bad for Teddy, just sidebar, because he looked like he was going to be quite the player in
did.
Minnesota.
He did.
And then he had that like RG3 thing, right, where like one bad injury and he just never looked the same.
Right. Yeah.
So you're either going with Teddy or you're picking somebody out of a draft class that doesn't have really top tier quarterbacks like we've seen in the past few years.
Do you not think that Drew Lock can bring out anything?
Would I take him over Teddy? No.
No, I'm saying no, of course not. From what we've seen in the season, obviously not. But do you think he could turn out to be something?
Yes, he can turn out to be a 4-win quarterback in the NFL.
Very good
and,
point.
I mean,
Has he got? He has gotten to 4 wins, hasn't he?
Yeah. Well, whenever he first came into the league and he started playing for Denver, he wasn't playing horrible.
I mean, so he came in. It was the last.
And then they went out and got Teddy Bridgewater, and that's when they
he
started him.
arguably has more talent around him now than when he did like a few years ago, but still didn't really get them anywhere.
To feed off your point, he did play the last. I think it was like the last 4 or 5 games for Denver, and then they immediately traded for Teddy Bridgewater. If you're confident in Drew Lock, you don't go out and make that trade for Teddy.
Yeah.
I mean, so Denver really just sit there and told you what they thought of Drew Lock, excuse me. Again, there's no really A-plus level quarterback in this draft, I don't believe either, but it's something like you said. You got to try something. Teddy can at least hold the ship down, kind of just get you through, win 8 or 9 games, 7 to 8, 9 games a year, but they got to look to,
Jerry
adopt during that
Judy's
position.
got to stay healthy as well.
Absolutely.
I think the plan for the Broncos is build a culture now with your new coach, and then if your season does not go very well, which I think it's likely not to start off, then the following year, now you've got some high-powered people coming out. You could make a run at Bryce Young the following year
that's true.
and start over. And now that you've got a culture built with your new head coach and people buying in that way. But there's a couple different options there. But if you don't get Aaron Rodgers this year, you're not really expecting much out of the team.
It's true, but like the only thing I'll say to that is when you have Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback, because he's so stable, right? He doesn't have the highest ceiling, but he also has like a high floor. So you're not going to be sitting there likely with a top 5 pick to potentially get Bryce Young. So they could be out of the running for that, and they may need to trade up. But
Unless you get rid of Bridgewater and just start Drew Lock.
it's true.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
that's
never
true.
know. I mean,
true. I
there's a lot of
wouldn't.
possibilities over there.
I would keep Bridgewater, honestly. I mean, because like you've seen him how he played for the Saints, and I mean some other teams too. I mean, just keeping him as not a backup, but I mean you can make him a starter if you wanted to, and just to see how the season progresses.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's gonna take you all the way to the playoffs because it's a rebuilding team right now. But I mean, like Cullen said, I mean he's a good quarterback. His floor is high as well, and I mean his ceiling ain't all the way up there to the clouds or way up there to the skyscrapers. But you know it's he's gonna keep your team afloat, and that's what we've seen throughout his career.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I mean, Dan Quinn did not end up taking any jobs. He re-signed with Dallas. We don't know the numbers or the years or nothing like that. We probably never will. And Jerry Jones has not called Sean Payton once. And I know Sean Payton said he doesn't want to coach this year and that whole thing. But, I mean, if you're Jerry Jones, you're still going to reach out to him and be like, hey, man, you want this in 2023? It's all yours.
Right.
He wouldn't do that this year just because he's already brought back Mike McCarthy, and the way the Dallas media is, somebody's going to get a hold of that, right? And if you are caught in a news article or with a recording going like, yeah, we talked to Sean Payton already, or Sean Payton says, yeah, they talked to me, undermines your whole season before it's even started.
Correct.
And I know Jerry Jones is not a great general manager, but I don't think he's that bad. He's already committed to McCarthy for better or worse for next year. And then the following year, assuming Mike McCarthy doesn't make at least the NFC Championship game, then I think he's out and you start talking to Sean Payton, because I think Sean Payton would love to coach the Cowboys.
He would love to.
Oh, yeah,
I have
for
no
sure.
doubt about that. But with bringing back Dan Quinn, it makes me kind of curious if Mike McCarthy, kind of was like, hey, Mike McCarthy, if he keeps this up, I think I said Mike McCarthy earlier. If Jerry Jones talked to Dan Quinn today and said, hey, man, we're going to offer you a multi-year extension. We want you to be here for a while. Makes me a little curious what the contents of that conversation were.
You're saying like a coach in waiting type thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
that-
Have McCarthy hold the place for a year.
Yeah, and then Dan Quinn following up behind him, saying, it's not a bad thought. That's one of those ones where it's like, Dan, if you come back and be defensive coordinator for another year, we'll ship out Mike McCarthy, and then you've got a nice cushy head coaching job waiting for you after that.
Exactly.
I mean, there was an interview with Dan Quinn. It was on, I forgot what show it was, but it was like he basically kind of somewhat already interviewed for the Cowboys slightly on the show, on a specific show. I can't name the show, but it was just talking about he was talking about like what he would do on the last play of the 49ers and Cowboys, and he said,
Are you talking about Sean Payton or Dan Quinn?
Sean Payton.
Yeah, okay, I thought so. Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah. So it's like technically you kind of already interviewing yourself for the Cowboys job, and I mean the relationship that Jerry Jones has with him.
I think he's
really
a little
good.
salty that he hasn't been reached out to.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, just a little bit, because I think if he were to come and coach any team, the Cowboys would probably be one of those teams.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that whole situation is kind of in shambles as far as what we know, because the media doesn't know a whole bunch. Only, of course, what Jerry Jones tells us. But let's move on from coaches. Mr. Big Ben Roethlisberger, the Pittsburgh Steeler lifer, retired earlier this week. Boys, what y'all got to say about that?
What a career. Literally.
Yeah.
So just to kind of, because again, I know I'm the stats guy on this show, I'm just going to give just a little highlight. He finishes his career 8th in passing touchdowns at 418. He is 5th in passing yards at 64,088. He's also 5th in completions and attempts in his career for a quarterback. Definitely had some memorable moments. I mean, the corner pass to Santonio Holmes is still one of the greatest passes I've ever seen thrown in a playoff game. Not to mention it was the Super Bowl with the game on the line. And, I mean, Big Ben, the way that I would describe Big Ben, if you told me I could only have 2 words to describe Big Ben, would be country strong. Because it just didn't matter that these, 6'5", 300-pound linemen, if they got their hand on his ankles, on his waist, on his whatever, he somehow, if you didn't get him on the ground, he would sit there and find a way to escape, throw the ball downfield, and make a crazy play, and just seemed to work for him every time. I mean, it was incredible watching him play, and congrats on the career, and probably soon to be Hall of Fame bound.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I think about Big Ben is just his grit. I mean, he's been through so many injuries these past couple of seasons.
Tough as nails.
Yeah, tough as nails. I mean, just fighting through it all and just still playing. The play that I think of is whenever they were playing against the Colts and it was a fumble and Big Ben was like in the backfield and he got the tackle before one of the Colts players could get the touchdown. And it's just like, he has so much fight and he's not going to give up on a play and he's not going to give up on his team or Mike Tomlin on his coach because, he's been playing for, at least like 12 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's played 12 seasons and he's still fighting. And, I mean, congrats on the career. Definitely Hall of Fame bound. First ballot for sure.
Y'all are pretty young, right? Y'all.
When you say young,
I'm turning 30 this year.
I'm the elder statesman at 26.
26?
21.
Okay. 21.
Yep.
So when I think of Ben Roethlisberger,
I declined over it.
No, I know where he's going, but you go ahead.
But I've got just a few more years of NFL watching. But when I think of Ben Roethlisberger, it's weird because everybody knows he was a good quarterback, right? But he was always in the shadow of Peyton and Tom Brady
in the AFC,
and Aaron Rodgers and these guys that were like
Drew Brees too.
And Drew Brees, yeah. So it's kind of like the Phillip Rivers effect where like he was overall, like if you look at the stats, it's not like he was a bad quarterback, but when you have to play in an era with like some of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game, you just don't look as good by comparison. And I think that's kind of maybe going to hurt him like in the first ballot Hall of Fame type deal. Like I don't think he's a straight up first ballot Hall of Famer.
I don't either.
By stats and by just like impact because again, he had to go behind all these other great quarterbacks.
Right.
I think he will be a Hall of Famer eventually, and I think he was a solid quarterback, and it's just one of those ones where you feel for the guy because he was obviously a great quarterback, but he never got the recognition. Like if he's playing in a different era, like before that, maybe a first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play type deal, right? Because he was good.
Yeah.
The man was solid.
Yeah.
Yep.
But he just looks so not bad, but by comparison, he doesn't look as good.
Right.
And it's crazy to think that like that's the era that we live in or that we grew up in, is watching all these great quarterbacks play where a guy like Ben Roethlisberger, we're all kind of like, okay, yeah, but he's not Tom Brady.
Yeah,
right.
He's not Peyton Manning.
Yeah, he's not Peyton
Drew
Manning.
Brees.
He's not Aaron Rodgers. So
Right,
we're all
yeah.
a great player, great quarterback, had a lot of great moments and just, a lifelong Steeler too, which is again not something you
Very
usually
rare.
see. Yeah, a lifelong player like that at quarterback. So good for him. Great career.
Yeah.
And he got out and at least he got a ring.
He got two.
He got two.
Yeah, two.
He got two.
At least
Remember,
he's
one with
sure.
Cowher and one with Tomlin.
At least he got two rings, man. That's a lot more than some quarterbacks can say. Phillip Rivers.
Oh my God.
That's tough.
To piggyback off that point, Roethlisberger's 165 wins with those Pittsburgh Steelers are the second most with any one team, behind only Tom Brady.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I should have known that one.
Yeah, and yeah. So, and again, we're celebrating Big Ben today, but also just needs to be said. Now that the NFL Hall of Fame considers off the field actions when voting for the Hall of Fame, Big Ben's going to have a tough time to get in there. And again, we're not going to go into the details. You can do your own research if you want to, but that will be kind of a factor for him. Hopefully, at the end of the day, they still realize what he contributed to the game and ultimately put him in the Hall of Fame. But that could push his, enshrinement
Big
down the line.
old we'll see.
We're talking about the NFL, not the MLB, right?
I mean, it's really both.
Right, exactly.
Because we all know what happened to Barry Bonds.
It's true.
I'm just saying.
That's
We could fill up a whole nother segment with that right
Yeah,
now.
let's not switch.
Yeah, let's not switch
just
quite
saying.
yet.
Because
I'm just saying.
I'm ready to throw down on that, but we'll do that later.
Right.
I mean, we can do that later. Let's take it over to the association. Cullen, I believe, just like always, you got the rosters for the All-Star starters, please.
I do. Do you want me to list out all 10?
Yeah, just go ahead and list off all 10.
Just the starters,
And
right?
the captains.
Just the starters.
Yeah,
and the
just the starters.
captains.
Just the starters. All right. For the Eastern Conference, we've got forward Kevin Durant, forward Giannis Antetokounmpo from the Milwaukee Bucks, center Joel Embiid from the Philadelphia 76ers, and at the backcourt, we got point guard Trae Young from the Atlanta Hawks, and shooting guard DeMar DeRozan from the Chicago Bulls. In the West, we got forward LeBron James from the Los Angeles Lakers, center Nikola Jokic from the Denver Nuggets, first-time All-Star Andrew Wiggins starting for the Golden State Warriors. In the backcourt, fellow Golden State Warrior Stephen Curry is starting alongside another first-time NBA All-Star Ja Morant.
Well deserved on John Morant's part, in my
well-deserved.
opinion.
Shout out to Ja. For sure.
So, I mean, would y'all have any tweaks on those rosters?
Yeah,
I mean,
are y'all ready for spice? Because I got spice.
Oh, I got
Oh,
spice
let's hear
too.
it.
I got beef. Okay.
Oh, same.
guess first.
Guess first.
So
Guess first.
I'm gonna say the name, and then I'm gonna wait. Y'all need to wait for me to finish my
Absolutely.
spiel.
We'll let it
okay?
marinate.
Absolutely.
We'll let it marinate.
DeMar DeRozan has taken a spot from a guard because if you watch the Bulls play,
No, you're right.
he does not play guard. He's listed as a shooting guard. He's always been a shooting guard. But if you watch him play, he plays at the small forward position in the Bulls offense. So he's taken a spot from a guard, which he's had a great year. I think he should be an all-star. But I think this brings up the conversation of, is it time to, where it's positionless basketball now? Are we done with front court, back court, and we just pick the best five?
I mean,
It's-
LeBron James plays center this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's
A little bit, yeah.
I mean,
really,
but it's LeBron James too.
it's the All-Star game. If you send 5 guards to go to the All-Star game, is that not part of the wackiness of it, right?
yeah, that's true.
And then the 5 guards have to go up against 3 centers, and they can't ever drive the lane because there's 3 tall guys going like, nope.
Yeah.
So then do you have like 5 teams of 5 best, or 3 teams of 3 best categories? Three best guards, 3 best shooting guards, and 3 best centers?
No,
or
you
tall,
just
or...
you just say best.
Yeah,
best overall.
Best five.
I
Or
think,
Best
yeah.
5, no
Yeah.
matter the position, are your starters. The next best 5 are your reserves. Because, you say that Luka is a shooting guard by position, but he does point guard.
Yeah, he's a
things,
point
right?
guard,
He
yeah.
dribbles,
runs the
he
point.
brings, he runs
Right.
the point, he runs the offense. Same thing with LeBron James. LeBron James basically runs the offense when he's out there. He dribbles the ball down the court pretty much every time he's there.
Yeah.
And he'll guard 1 through 5, but he's listed as, I don't even know, is he listed as a power forward now? Small forward.
Small
still.
forward, yeah.
So he's still listed as a small forward, but he runs the offense like a guard.
Right.
And then
Right.
fills in at center when Anthony Davis isn't playing.
Yeah.
So he's literally he's arguably the most versatile
Yeah.
basketball player of all time,
So-
but that's besides the point.
So I think, like I said, DeMar DeRozan, 100% deserving of it, but to call him a guard this year is disingenuous, and I think it's time to just go 1 through 5, the best in the conference are the ones who should be to the All-Star game.
No, you're right. You're right. 100% with that. And I mean, like doing it positionless, just naming the top 5, like for your starters, that's perfect. Yeah. That's what I would do. I mean, instead of just, okay, we're going to do a small forward, power forward, center, front court, back court. I mean, times have changed for sure.
Yeah.
Especially how the All-Star game is, running now. I think that's a great idea.
And they've shown a willingness to change it, right? Because it used to be the positions,
Right.
And that
Right,
back
right.
when the positions were like clearly defined, and your centers like Shaq, Hakeem, Lambeer, all these guys were like true centers that were like post up or don't shoot, and
Right.
more defensive specialists. And all these positions, like the point guard always ran the offense, was your best passer. Your shooting guard was your scorer. And the small forward was like a wing that could also score a little bit, but play pretty good defense. And so, like, it made sense at the time. And as things started moving around, it makes less and less sense to hold the position. So it went front court, back court. So then now it's making more and more sense to just do away with it, because you basically just have, like, basically your superstar now is your point guard in terms of running the offense. They're going to dribble the ball down.
Right.
So
right.
Or just shoot it from 40 feet.
from the logo.
If you're Steph Curry. So yeah.
Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, Trae Young. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just the way the game's going now.
Yeah.
But
So-
I'm not gonna lie. If I were to make some changes to the starters, I would switch out Trae Young, because
Okay.
Trae Young, great player, deserving of to be an All-Star. I would say reserve. Darius Garland has been balling for the Cavs.
Fair. I would say, but I mean, like, that's one of the things with with the front court, back court, right? Like, I don't think Wiggins is a top 5 player in the West,
No.
but he fills in the front court spot, right?
But the it's like
It's the fan vote.
Yeah, it's the fan vote.
Yeah, that's the fan vote. But again, they wouldn't have to be tied into that if it was front court, if it wasn't front court, back court, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Like, there's maybe a couple other guys in the West who would be overall better than Wiggins. Like, I'd take Luka Doncic over Wiggins
Yeah.
if it wasn't tied to the front court, back court deal.
Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker, Karl Anthony Towns. Do you want me to keep going?
No, I think he nailed it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that just those few that you list off, Cullen, is pretty good. Those could all be pretty good spot fillers. Well, let's start talking about James Harden, because he probably won't be a Brooklyn Net very much longer. He wants out of there.
So he did respond to those rumors today that you mentioned too, talking about the unhappiness with the Nets, saying that he's not happy in Brooklyn. He's tired of Kyrie's vaccination status, all of that. He did come out in an interview today. And I'm just going to read the quote, and then we can all respond to it.
Okay.
I don't know about any reports, Harden said. Of course, I'm frustrated because we're not healthy. There's a lot of inconsistencies for whatever reason, injuries, COVID, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it's frustrating. I think everyone in this organization is frustrated because we are better than what our record is, and we should be on the way up. Very interesting, considering, Harden is eligible to become a free agent this offseason. The Nets did come out and say that they are not looking to trade James Harden before the trade deadline to squash any of those rumors. What are you guys' thoughts on James Harden's apparent disgruntledness with Brooklyn?
It's going to be another Ben Simmons situation. It's just going to be no, because if the Nets don't want to trade him,
Ben Simmons can't shoot the ball.
No, but I get what you're saying in terms of a frustration
issue, not skill wise,
so
not skill set wise.
Okay. But even then, James Harden's trade value is a lot higher.
If the Nets don't want to trade him.
But that's the thing. Not to mention, Harden is available to be a free agent after this year. Ben Simmons still got 3-4 years left on his deal.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like Ben Simmons,
this is a whole different situation.
But I get in terms of the frustration, I get what he's saying.
That's
right?
what I'm saying.
So like, imagine y'all had invited me in. I'm sitting here on my stool as part of y'all's group, and like one of y'all leaves to go to the bathroom in the middle of the segment. Another one of y'all goes to take a phone call, and it's just me and one other dude. And I'm like, well, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. It's that same thing. You got Kyrie, who, whether he is right or not, and we're all entitled to our opinions on it, whatever, I get that, you do you, but he's not there for literally half the games. That's a problem when part of what you were promised was we have a big three with you, KD, and Kyrie.
James Harden's the most consistent player for them.
Right.
Well,
health-wise.
Health-wise. That's what I meant.
So, but yeah, it's that thing where like I would be frustrated too if I was promised this and then Kyrie can't, on the one, I'd be like, okay, on the one hand, I get it, but on the other hand, dude, if you're not here for half the games, this isn't what I was promised, and I don't want to be here for something I wasn't promised for.
And notice too the timing of this. It was right after Kevin Durant got hurt, because Kevin Durant, when they're sitting there, they're balling. I mean, they were doing well. They were a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. Very interesting that these comments came out afterwards. Just saying.
Hold on, I think Anthony's got something he wants to say.
Oh, definitely.
All right, bring
it. Because you're saying that the situation with Ben Simmons and James Harden is the same. No. You have a team for Ben Simmons. Okay, you can play if you want to. You have a whole squad. Joel Embiid is healthy, playing fine, dropping 30 balls all day long. With James Harden, you got COVID, you got injuries. Yeah, I understand. 2 of your best players can't play basketball. With Ben Simmons, you have a whole squad.
Okay, I totally get that. I'm
whose
down with you
fault?
on that one.
Who are you putting the fault on then, exactly?
The Simmons thing, that's like they basically can't, like Embiid and the coach basically like came out at one point and was like, yeah, we don't need him.
Yeah.
I'd be out of there too, man. Like straight up, I'd be like, oh, y'all don't need me, fine. I mean, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Doc Rivers literally threw him under the bus.
So it's not exactly the same. I'll grant you that. You're right. Yeah. It's not exactly the same. There are extenuating, but in terms of they are frustrated with the team because it's not what they thought it was going to be, or they thought it's not what they thought it was, or it was not what was promised to them. Kind of the same deal.
Okay.
But yeah, the circumstances are. Yeah, I'm not saying the Simmons. Simmons is only being held back by his mental right now. And his mental is so weak that he can't even get on the court to practice. Right. But if he really wanted to, he could go and play and make that money. Whereas Harden is out there on the court looking around like, oh man, this is what I got around me right now.
Yeah, I mean it's not great.
I don't know. So you're saying that it wouldn't. You're saying that it wouldn't happen to where James Harden gets overly frustrated and sits out the rest of the season?
No way.
No way. Especially because he's a free agent at the end of this year. If he sits out, that just lowers your value for the rest of the year.
Absolutely.
So where do you think he would go in free agency? I know it's like before free agency and stuff. Like free agency is a long way away, but where do you think he would go?
So just to point this out before, it would have to be a sign and trade. There's only 3 teams. I looked this up this morning that have the cap space to sign Harden to a max contract outright this offseason. So more than likely, it would have to be a sign and trade with somebody.
That's assuming that he would take a max deal,
right?
Or
obviously, yes.
Because I think Harden's is. I mean, that clock is ticking, right? He's like, man, I need a ring. And I'm coming down towards the better. I'm way past the peak, kind of starting to head down towards the latter part of my career. Mm-hmm. I bet he would be willing to take a non-max deal to sign with a contender, which is, I'm sure, what he thought was going to happen here at Brooklyn.
Right, and so. I mean, I'm not, and just just to clarify, you don't mean like a veteran minimums deal. You expect
No, I mean like he's going to get his money,
right, but just not the max.
Yes,
that
if
he
he
could get.
if he's
Right,
like
okay.
if he's looking at the Warriors, going like, oh, Clay's still not 100%. Maybe I could just slide in. Not saying that,
Right,
but like
right,
that would be
hypothetically.
so nice.
but like not that was going to be like an actual thing. But maybe
Yeah.
he's looking at like
Philly.
or maybe he's looking at the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
And like,
Ooh,
man, if
yeah.
I could be another guard that could run the offense there and take them from the 7th seed up to like the 2nd and start challenging for a ring, maybe I'll take a 3-4 year for half the max so that they can afford it.
Yeah,
It's true.
it's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Going back to the Western Conference, because the East is looking very top heavy at the moment, especially with, Giannis being the defending champ and Miami's looking resurgent. Chicago has their, best season in I don't know how many seasons this year. So maybe a return to the West wouldn't be a bad idea.
When did Michael play?
Exactly.
That was
Yeah,
probably the last.
basically.
Exactly.
Well, I guess there was that one. There was the one season where they went pretty far with Derrick Rose. So, and then that was the season, I guess, but before he got his injury.
Yes.
So that was the last good season. Whichever one that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whichever
It was-
year that was.
I want to say it was 2013, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, my thing is like,
I think so.
why are you complaining when you're the 4th seed? Like, you're going to make it into the playoffs. Obviously, you
Because-
guys are going to be
because they
fine.
were
Well, think about it. If you're the 4th seed, you have home court advantage for the first round of the playoffs, but that means you don't have Kyrie for a majority of the games.
It's true.
That's true.
So you only have him for at best 3 out of 7 games, and you're already looking at that going like, okay, it's actually better for us to be the 8th seed, so we don't have home court, so we actually get Kyrie for more games.
So watch for the Nets
Oh,
to
my-
tank, everybody.
Apparently, dude.
So the NBA releases its MVP tracker.
I got it right here. It's a top 10 list, so it did 5 better than what I normally do. So do you want me to go 10 to 1?
Yeah, go ahead.
I can
Okay.
already tell you who number 1 is because I picked him last year, and he's got better stats than last year.
Okay. Well, we'll see if you're right.
Who,
We
the
got
point center?
What?
The point center?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
makes sense.
Number 10, LeBron James, Los Angeles Lakers. At 9, Devin Booker, the Phoenix Suns. At number 8, John Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies. At number 7, Kevin Durant of the Brooklyn Nets. Number 6, Steph Curry of the Golden State Warriors. Number 5, DeMar DeRozan of the Chicago Bulls. Number 4, Chris Paul of the Phoenix Suns. Number 3, Giannis Antetokounmpo from the Milwaukee Bucks. Number 2, Joel Embiid, Philadelphia 76ers. Number 1, Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets, as we had just mentioned. Guys, Nikola Jokic has been kind of really flying under the radar, at least from my perspective, in terms of this MVP race. What are y'all's thoughts?
Bruh, like I said, I picked him on Sports Zone last year, like before they even came out. Like I had him picked. I was like, Nikola Jokic this man is going to be the first man to, I think it was average 30 points, or no, it's like average 28 points and like 8 rebounds, or something like that.
Yep.
Something ridiculous. And now this man has better stats than he did last season when he won. Last season, I know you're the stats guy, Cullen. I'm going to step on your toes just a little bit here because I got him pulled up already.
By all means.
So last year, Nikola Jokic had 26.4 points per game, and he had 10.8 rebounds, 8.3 assists, 60 double-doubles, and 16 triple-doubles for the season. All right. This year, my man Joker has 26.2 points, so pretty much the same. He's averaging 14 rebounds a game. So he's already bumped that up by 4. 7.6 assists. He's got 36 double-doubles, which leads the league, and 11 triple-doubles, which also leads the league. He's already got 11.
It's amazing.
This man has flown under the radar for so long, and I'm so glad that he's finally getting that. I mean, obviously, he's kind of picked up his stats a little bit
Right.
from the past couple of years, but I'm glad he's getting the recognition he deserves because the man does everything.
His PER is pretty insane this year as well, right?
Oh, yeah, 33.2.
Yeah, it's like one of the highest in NBA history.
Yeah.
Just first off point, job well done on the stats.
Thank you.
Job well done.
From Statman to Statman.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But my pick for MVP this year, because I honestly didn't expect Nikola Jokic to potentially repeat this year, was Kevin Durant. It's unfortunate that he's got his knee injury and he'll be out for however many more weeks. I don't mind giving it to Nikola Jokic, and this again brings up the debate that we had last week here on Fools on Stools. Who's the better big man? And Ryan, I just want to kind of just throw this back to you a little bit because these are the top two in the MVP ladder.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to take a center to build your franchise around, Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, who are you taking?
I think that I would take. I know I just put him up as MVP, but I think Joel Embiid has the better build around because he's more solid defensively. Like Jokic is not bad, but when you think about defensive presence, like Joel Embiid is one of the last like big defensive presence centers that can still score the ball in the league right now.
Yeah.
There's not many out there. Like Dwight Howard does okay.
Right.
But
he's past his prime.
yeah,
Way
Joel
past his
Embiid
prime.
is like the brick wall in the lane. So
Right.
if I had to build around a guy, I'd probably go him. Now, in terms of just straight offense, Nikola Jokic is going to do everything he can to get the offense rolling, and he is going to put up far better numbers. Well, I wouldn't even say far better numbers right now. He's averaging 2 less points per game and 3 more rebounds, 3 more assists, slightly better PER. So the numbers you're getting are only slightly better offensively. So I think it kind of balances out. But I am of the opinion that defense wins championships, right?
That's fair.
So I'm going to build around a defensive presence.
Yeah, I mean, especially on the pick and roll too, just because like Nikola doesn't really like move laterally the way Joel does, and that could be a really big thing. I think what I said on the podcast last week, Joel's peak, like when he's fully healthy, and again, health was kind of like the big determiner for us because obviously Joel's missed however many games throughout his career. Joel at his peak, I think, is the best center in the league.
Absolutely.
But one of the big reasons for the storyline of Nikola Jokic winning the MVP last year was he played all 82 games. He's a reliable, consistent guy, willing to run your offense, which point center. I mean, I don't even know the last player you could really truly define as a point center in the association. Credit to Nikola Jokic for being the head of this NBA MVP tracker.
The only thing I would like to comment on the list is I think John Morant should be higher.
Okay, so he's at number 8. Where would you have him?
I don't know. Where was Chris Paul at?
Chris
4.
Paul was 4.
Okay, whoa! I know it. Go ahead and speak. But then I'm going to tell you why you can't disrespect. I'm going to let you
No,
finish.
I'm not.
But then I'm
said-
not going to let you disrespect
said-
Chris Paul like
No,
that. So
I'm
go
not
ahead
going
and
to move
finish.
He said-
Chris Paul.
Okay.
Ryan
I'm
said, hold on, young blood. Hold on, young blood.
I'm
He's
not-
acting a
Hold your
fool.
voices now.
He's acting a fool.
I'm not moving Chris. I'm not moving Chris Paul. I just wanted to know where he was at. Give me the top 5 one more time.
Okay. From 5 to 1, it goes DeMar DeRozan, Chris Paul, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic.
Who's 6, 7, 8?
Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and then Jaws at 8. So I went 6, 7, 8 there.
Okay, so John Morant's probably going to move up to 7 at least because Kevin Durant's injured, and that's ultimately going to have him drop. I don't know.
So keep him at 8.
So keep him at 8 is what you're saying?
I don't know. I feel like he can move up, though. I feel like he'll move up.
If it wasn't for the fact that Jokic has better stats than he did last year when he won, Chris Paul, in my opinion, he should have won last year because the difference he made in that Phoenix Suns team, like just him, taking them from I think they were like 8th or 9th the season before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they
up to
just
the first seed in the Western Conference last season.
Right.
Like it's a night and day difference. That one guy, like literally, he was like one of their only free agent acquisitions the previous year,
yeah.
and he took them from like 8th or 9th up to the first seed and to the finals. He should have won MVP. Like I said, I'm not mad about Jokic winning because he's been deserving for a while. But Chris Paul, man, he's old.
That's what I was about to say.
That man's
He's
starting
really
to get
old.
up to like Tom Brady levels of old.
Mhm.
Man,
That's what I was
like,
about to say is everybody talks about you want to have a veteran appearance. You want to have a veteran appearance. Even if they're not that good, you still want veterans around your young players so that way they can learn from them. Well, he does it both because he's a veteran appearance, but he also scores and he facilitates the ball, and I mean he gets the job done over there in Phoenix.
Yeah, everybody's talking about how LeBron James is putting numbers at 36. Chris Paul's 36.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's no
not
slouch either.
Yeah, I mean, he's just not the physical freak that LeBron is, but he is playing really well
Right.
at 36.
Well, I mean, and again, it's
And his
LeBron.
ball handling hasn't slowed down either.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
LeBron
it's
James.
LeBron,
It's
yeah.
LeBron.
Chris Paul.
James.
LeBron James.
Chris Paul plays like a Swiss Army knife. He's lethal. He's gonna find you. He's gonna score in the mid range easily.
And he's gonna make everybody around him better.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And I hate watching it because I'm like, there's no way this is going to work. And all of a sudden, I was like, oh, I didn't even see that.
Right. Exactly.
How did that happen?
His mastery of sitting there working the pick and roll to get that step back,
Oh, yeah.
18-footer.
Dude, that
I'm like, it works every
That's
like you
killer.
know it's
Mid-range
coming.
That's
back.
a killer.
That
Oh my
and it's
God.
beautiful too.
It's
You like
so
look at
pretty.
it, and even if you hate the Suns, you're like, chef's kiss. That was beautiful.
Oh yeah. Very sexy looking move. And I mean, just go quickly back because I know you talked about how Chris Paul. So Chris Paul, the Suns were in the bubble and they were like the first team out, even though they won all their games. They went 8-0. Mm-hmm. They were the 9th seed. Chris Paul was playing for the Oklahoma City Thunder, who were the 4 seed that year. He had guided that young team all the way up into a playoff berth where they took 7 games to Houston, and then he leaves. That team goes down, and they're the bottom 4 in the West. Now he's at Phoenix, and he's killing it. So.
Last true floor general type player, maybe?
You can make that argument.
I'd probably say so, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he can score, but he's best effective at directing the offense.
He's perfect for, like, Phoenix because they're a young team and they needed some guidance.
Yeah.
Like,
He'd be
that's his role.
Really good head coach in the future.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If he ever stops playing.
Yeah. If
Right.
he ever stops playing at this rate, true. Well, let's take it over to the Mean Green. We're gonna keep it on basketball though, because the men's basketball team has been killing it lately. They have won 12 out of the last 13 games. They're 7-1 Conference USA. They're tied for first in the entire conference with UAB and LA Tech, who they do play this weekend. They go on to play Louisiana Tech this weekend, but they're absolutely killing it right now. Montrez McBride is coming off of a career high last night in 21 points. They're getting that 3-ball rolling again, and first time in program history that they've gone 4-0 on the road to start off the year. And I mean, are we looking at another March Madness run? I mean, I know it's really early, but I mean, they're playing damn good.
I hope so.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah, me too. I mean, you got TP5, Tyler Perry. He's a killer. I mean, yes, he's coming off the bench. I think that if you make him a starter, I mean, that is going to change everything. He's averaging.
Well, he didn't play last night. He's a little hobbled.
He had a hip issue, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't need him
injured
last night, so it was good. He was able to rest on that.
Yeah, but I mean, but you know he's going to come back, obviously. But it's just that boost that he gives you, on the offense.
And I think the biggest question for us was, how does this team look without Javion Hamlet, right? Because he had been like the defining part of the Mean Green for 2-3 years now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so the question was, who's going to be that guy?
Who's going to be the leader? Who's going to be,
And the answer is all of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Abu Usman last week, I think it was, put up a career high in points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Beast.
Usman's really doing
Aaron
it.
Scott, I feel like, has been the Conference USA Player of the Week for
Every
I don't know
single
how many
week,
weeks.
yeah.
He was the second UNT player to win it 3 times in one season, and we still have like half a conference season to go.
He's insane.
I was watching the game last night, and this guy, I don't remember which player it was from Southern Miss, but they go to shoot a 3-ball. He blocks it out of the air, comes down with it, and I was like, dude, this guy's a freshman.
Yeah.
A freshman.
Yeah.
He's a freak.
If you look at the top 5 in points per game, like obviously Tyler Perry, as you touched on, is like the guy. He's 14.3, but everybody else is within like 5-6 points of him. It's not like he's head and shoulders above the rest of the team. All these guys are playing really well, and they are committed to playing defense too. This is the best, one of the best defenses in the NCAA, and the best 3-point defense in the NCAA.
Yeah,
Very
that's true.
crucial, especially when it comes down to March if we get there.
Yeah. So this is a team that is more than capable of making it. Now you got your big tests coming up because you got La Tech, which is a big one. You've already lost to UAB, so that makes this game even bigger.
Yeah, we got to beat La Tech this weekend.
So you do get, you get a rematch with La Tech later in the season. But I think you're at the very least looking at a Conference USA tournament run, and then from there, who knows? I think the way that the NCAA tournament organizers look at it, though, is if you don't win the tournament, you have to have a fantastic year to get into the big dance, right?
Right.
So I think then that was really why the Mean Green got in last year, is because they won the tournament. They were like the automatic bid.
Well, and to your point, it's so hard for a non-Power 5 school, or I'm not sure what the term is in college basketball, for them to get in because they looked at as such a lower level and everything. But also, too, another player, Thomas Bell, was looked at as like, because he was the senior, he was the most experienced, one of the best players on the team. Tyler Perry has taken on that leadership role, and this is technically his first year at UNT because he's a transfer from
JUCO.
Yeah,
he's a JUCO product.
Because he was a JUCO champion.
Mm-hmm.
Was it last year or the year before?
Last year.
Yeah. And he's really taken on that leadership role. Thomas Bell and him, Usman, Aaron Scott, all of them. They're just playing.
It's a team effort.
Right now.
I agree. I agree with Ryan. One person doesn't do it all. Usman, he scores just about every time he's got the ball in his hand. Like I said, Aaron Scott, he's all around the place doing everything he needs to do. And Perry, he scores from wherever he wants to pull up from. I mean, overall, and McBride's going to hit that open three just about 85% of the time. And I mean, I think this is a team we really got to keep our eye on. And well, obviously we're going to keep our eye on, but I think saying that they could make a run to the tournament as far as Conference USA and getting that win, I don't think it's out of the realms. We just got to keep it going from where we are.
At this point, it's make it to the tournament, and then anything happens from there, because it is best of ones from there. So the way they've got it set up right now, you've got a rematch with UAB later in February, and then you've got the game this week against La Tech and the following game. So the interesting thing, too, is because the Conference USA does divisions in basketball, which not a lot of conferences do. I think there's only like 2 other ones in NCAA Division I that do conferences for basketball. Mm-hmm. If you can get the first, second, or third seed in the West, the team that the team that they're going to ship out from the East is not going to be very good.
Yeah, the East is not playing good at all.
No, like their best. I think their best team is like 4-2 in conference.
Yes, the East is playing very horrible, which works to an advantage to everybody in the West. But it just makes the competition even more important between UMT, UAB, and La Tech, because they're each 7-1 in Conference USA. And if we can beat La Tech this weekend and miraculously UAB loses to whoever they go on to play, I can't pull it up right now. This weekend could be really huge for the Mean Green.
Yeah, I think you're looking at a big weekend. But I mean, it's even if you lose, the one thing you don't want to do is lose confidence if you go out and like lay an egg, because again, you're 4 straight winners on the road. You're 6-1. It is really hard for any team to go on that kind of streak and maintain that kind of streak.
Right.
So don't lose. If you happen to lose, don't lose your confidence. Don't lose your swagger. La Tech is a good team. Just come back out and keep grinding.
Right.
Yep.
And I mean, honestly, it in a weird way, it's almost like I'd feel better if they did lose. So they got that kind of wake-up call before the tournament.
No, they got a wake-up call last night.
Yeah, a little
Southern Miss wasn't that easy to beat for them.
And it's fair. And it just, to me, like a loss really kind of sets in different than a win, even if it was like a win that they had to really work for. I know they started the game down, 10-0?
Yeah,
at the
was
beginning.
Ugly.
They had like 10 turnovers at halftime. It was not a great game.
Yeah, and I just,
I think a gritty win was what they needed.
I mean, hey, maybe I'm wrong, but it'll be interesting to see going forward.
Yeah, I agree. But speaking of, like I said, this is a big weekend. The women's basketball team goes on to play this weekend at La Tech as well. Well, actually here, they're hosting La Tech this weekend. But I mean, have a day, Quincy Noble.
Hey, what about the Q? Yes, sir.
She really is. I mean, just like amazing basketball player for us. I mean, it's just, I feel like every time we sit there and we do those, radio updates at the top of the hour, Quincy Noble is on every single
Headline.
one.
Yep.
Every single one.
Yeah. I actually worked with Quincy on Sports Zone on Thursdays, and I mean, her basketball knowledge of just in general is top notch, and it makes a lot of sense when she's on the court. I mean, she is a killer from 3, in the mid range, shooting layups, all that, and I mean, it's a team effort. It's a team effort with that team, and I mean, they could go far. Because I remember talking to her, she said that they're trying to make a tournament run this year. I mean, it's all gas, no brakes with them this season.
Yeah, they got to turn it around though. I mean, they had lost 3 straight. Quincy Noble was ejected out of 2 of those games, but she turned it around and she proved everybody wrong last night. Everybody did their job, and as long as they can keep doing that. As long as the women's team can keep doing that, keep scoring, keep winning, then a conference run definitely is not out of sight.
I think she'd been having a tough season like before that, and even with last night, Thursday night. No, that was last night.
Yes.
What day is it? What day is it?
Hey, we said Friday at the beginning of the podcast.
It's Friday.
Is it Friday? Oh, thanks, guys. So last night, even with that, she's shooting 38% from the field. So she was, the frustration is probably not warranted, but expected. When you're the, let me see if I get this right, preseason co-player of the year, right, for CUSA.
Yep.
The
Well done.
mouthful of words that was. When you're that, and you have that level of expectations on you, and to start off that way in the season can be frustrating. So to have that 30-point night where you're shooting well, and I was watching the game after, like as I was finishing up on the board here, I had it on my computer, and I'm watching, and she was feeling it. Mid range, she would just step up. She had a look, and she was like, and it went in.
Right.
I was like, and that's the kind of thing that kind of sparks the rest of her season. But don't sleep on Jazzion Jackson and Ali
Jazzy?
Gomez.
Ali Gomez,
Bro,
yeah.
Ali
Jazzy,
Gomez was
they-
out last night. That was
I
the
really
issue.
so Quincy Noble's like the clear like if you just need someone to get you a bucket, create their own shot, you go to Quincy.
She's the MJ. Ali is going to be the Scotty.
Right, because
Yeah,
Allie's the one that like if I can't get it to Quincy Noble on the inbounds, I want Gomez bringing the ball up the court.
She's having 11 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists.
Yeah,
Best, she's
she's leading the team in assists. Isn't she?
She's leading the team in assists. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she to me is the playmaker. Like she's the one that like sits there, and if the offense doesn't score a couple buckets, they're like, all right, run it through her, let her kind of bring the ball up the court, and just see if they can get a bucket, run a set, something. And I really trust her leadership.
If there's 2 things that I think they needed to work on as a team, they're averaging almost 17 turnovers a game,
A lot of turnovers, yes.
and they're shooting 67% from the free throw line.
Ooh.
Oh man.
But
That's
you
not
clean
good.
those two. I mean, if you clean those 2 things up, you might be first in the West.
It's true. I mean,
those are the 2 things that'll kill you.
yeah. I don't know what their. I wonder if we could ever pull up the stats, like their average margin of defeat, in their losses, because they really haven't gotten blown off the floor in any of their games. And if you sit there and you listen to the post-game press conference with Coach Mitchell, turnovers, I feel like, is a constant theme with this team. When that she brings up, and like what we've got to do better is we just got to take care of the ball.
Yeah.
And-
So they lost to Missouri State by 6, UT Arlington by 1 in overtime, Wichita State by 3, Baylor. That was number 10 Baylor. They got blown out by 21. Fine, whatever.
Right.
They got blown out by Middle Tennessee, which was a big one, 28 points, and then 7 points to Western Kentucky, 5 points to Charlotte, 10 points to Old Dominion. So your margin of victory, disregarding the 2 blowouts, is less than 10 points. It's probably about 5 to 8 points, which is turnovers and free throws.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I mean, because they're, like we said, they're facing LA Tech tomorrow, and I mean, when LA Tech gets to the free throw line, they shoot at least 60. No, wait, I'm sorry. They shoot 76.7% from the free throw, while North Texas shoots 67.8. So I mean, not 67, 66 from the 66.7 from the free throw line. So
Rounds
it's not
up to
a
67.
It's yeah. Either way, so it's not a huge margin, but it's a margin. So I mean, they're just gonna have to watch out. Put your best free throw shooter at the line, please.
No.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, that's part of the thing too, is that like you're looking at it, and most of the people that you would expect to shoot free throws pretty well are struggling. Like Quincy Noble's shooting 80%, which is pretty good, but Ali Gomez is 71%. Jalen Mallard is 60%. You got Kendall Magruder's got 27.3%. So
Yeah.
it's
Townley's under 60, isn't she? She's like 50. What is that? 57.
Madison Townley is 67.5, but still not great.
Okay. Yeah.
Tamisha Lampkin 57.4. So right now your role players are the ones that need to start hitting their free throws when they get in.
Right. Because I mean, Noble's not. I mean, we love her to death, but she's not going to be dropping 30 points consistently.
Not consistently, no.
As much as we love, and I mean, speaking of Townley, she's the number 1 all time in school history recently for most rebounds in a career. I mean, congrats to her. Yeah, a little golf clap. There we go. Absolutely. And she's about to be Miss UNT. She is 5 games away from being the number 1 player in UNT women's basketball history in all-time games played. So she's about to be Miss UNT.
That's a pretty great feat, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The longevity. So I mean, there's definitely some things to look for forward later in the season for sure.
It's definitely looking like get to the tournament and then go from there for both teams. Like, the path to the big dance, unfortunately for the Conference USA, is get to the tournament and win the tournament. And if you had a spectacular year, like maybe if La Tech wins it and the Mean Green go 10-2 out of it, maybe they sneak in somewhere. Maybe they're like a 16th seed play-in like kind of deal. But the only clear path that we've seen for the Conference USA for a while is to win the tournament and get in that way. Because your strength of schedule just doesn't line up with all the other teams that are getting in.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, they're I mean, And again, it's just all these people that are deciding the brackets and everything. I mean, we're not sitting here playing Duke, North Carolina, or any of the Big 12 teams. So, I mean, rightfully so. I guess you can argue in the opinion, but I just don't want to leave it to chance. Hopefully, both teams win the conference tournament this year, and I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yep. Well, I mean, let's keep it on the mean green just for a little bit longer. Let's discuss the frustration that I don't know about y'all, but I have with UNT football. We've had a lot of players enter the transfer portal as of late. I know the transfer portal, I don't want to say an issue, but it is it's trying to find the right word. It's there, and a lot of players use it, but it's definitely killing UNT football. Anybody who's even close to any kind of good is in there. They're out there trying to do their thing and get better, which, kudos to them. And it's, at the end of the day, football is a business at any level. Go out, and do your thing and, go to a better school if as far as recognition wise. And, I get that, but what is UNT doing wrong as far as not being able to keep these players? I know some people can say coaching staff. Some people will say, recruiting's off. I just want to know what y'all's opinions were. And if anything, just express your frustrations, because I know there's a lot of them. A lot of people are frustrated with this UNT football team based off of, the turnaround we had last year. Yeah, it was great, but the beginning was horrible. It was depressing. And we're not having much to look forward to next year with no notable starting quarterback. So I just a little bit of my frustration. I mean, what do y'all got to say about it?
So to add to your point of level of frustration, so in 2020, we were second in the Conference USA in terms of 24/7 ranking our recruiting class. Last year, 2021, we were the number one ranked. And like you said, whenever you have that level of recruiting classes and you don't sit there and produce, I mean, I understand we made it to a bowl game this year, but we weren't nearly what we had been in years past under Coach Seth Luttrell. And this year we're ranked 11th. So it's definitely something that hopefully, they can sit there and figure out, because, coaching and all that, it's very important. You need to be able to develop and, coach up your players, but you need those players to be, talented as well to keep up the level of UNT football. So hopefully that'll change soon.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I think, Kevin, you hit the nail on the coffin. I mean, the first part of the season was trash. I mean, I remember me and Ryan, we would talk about UNC football every Tuesday and Thursday, and sometimes we would bash Luttrell. I mean, hard. I mean, every Tuesday, Thursday, Luttrell got to get fired. Luttrell got to get fired. And I mean, did he turn it around? Yes. Did he go to a bowl game? Yes. But I mean, I think after the turnaround, a lot of players were like, "Oh, well, okay, I can see something." So I mean, I think it just makes sense because, like, you guys weren't winning in the beginning of the season, and all the things that were coming out, especially with some players that, I don't want to say, got in trouble, but they got in trouble and who weren't able to play. I mean, I just think there was a lot of talk behind the scenes, and that's why a lot of players just decided to leave.
I'm going to go ahead and obviously UNT is not the best place to play football.
Agreed.
It's not.
I mean, sports in general, I'll just say that because UNT is not really a sports school.
That's fair.
It's a liberal arts. So.
But I'm going to point to this as also being a symptom of the new NIL.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because when you have schools that can offer better money, better playing time, better opportunities, players are going to want to go there.
Mm-hmm.
And especially now that this is a new thing, you're going to see a lot of players who maybe they have a good year at a smaller school.
And then they're out.
And Bama or LSU comes along and goes like, "Hey, you played really well. You want to come get paid a bunch of money to come play?" And they're like, "Well, yeah.
Well, of course,
Of course,
do,
yeah.
So
Right,
basically, the transfer portal has basically come college free agency. And
really
I
has.
Yeah.
don't like it because I think it ruins the spirit of college football, and it ruins those stories of those guys that played for like 4 years at a school.
Right.
And finally, like kind of like the Ritter for Cincinnati.
Yeah, Desmond.
Desmond Ritter, a guy that was there for 4 years at Cincinnati, played his butt off and, stuck to his team, and took him to number 4. Now we can debate on whether they deserve to be number 4, deserve to be there with Alabama, because anyway. But
they played their butt off and they had a damn good season.
But you lose that storyline. You lose that, commitment unless you are a starter your freshman year, and
at a big school,
at a pretty big school,
right?
Because then, let's be real. Just percentage wise, a lot of these players are not going to make it in the NFL,
right?
So if you were looking at it going like, I'm not going to make it in the NFL. I like getting my degree, but you know what would be pretty cool?
Making $1 million.
Making a solid $1 million on the side while I play college football. They're going to be like, okay, because that's what I would do.
Right.
Like, I mean, I consider myself a pretty good person, but I'm like, man, if somebody's going to pay me $1 million to go play football somewhere while I get my degree and I know I'm not going to the NFL, I'm going to do that in a heartbeat.
I mean, hey,
we think you're a good person too, by the way.
I mean, hey, you got to get your paper. You got to get your cheese where it's at.
Yeah. I mean, what do you always say, Anthony?
I say a lot of things, man.
He does. He's got a lot of
narrow
things.
it down.
Yeah.
If it don't make money, it don't make sense.
Hey,
yeah, there you go.
So
that's true.
I think you're going to see a lot of this, especially because the NIL is so new. Like, all these rules are so new, and now you have like more people like getting into it and giving, trying to figure out this business, because it basically is a business now.
Right.
College sports are now a business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right.
So
look. If you want to go that route, high school is even a business now.
Yeah, because you have to know.
Yeah, because that's part of recruiting now. Is now Nick Saban can go like, by the way, in addition to playing for Alabama, if you're good, you are going to make more money here than you would at at UNT.
Right.
As a backup.
As a backup. Yeah.
Right.
Like Bryce Young is probably already going to make the equivalent of
Bryce Young before the season even started was already $1 million.
Yeah.
He already had multi-million-dollar deals.
To the NFL, he will probably make more than his rookie contract in the NFL.
That's
very much so.
Just playing in Bama. So how is UNT going to compete?
Exactly. Unless they get
even not even just Bama. We're going to be in the AAC soon. We got to compete with SMU.
It's true.
Who is already
actually
all money.
Actually, you can't really say the AAC. They don't like that.
Oh, sorry. The American Athletic Conference.
There you go.
Good job. Yes,
we have to compete with the American Athletic Conference.
yes.
And SMU.
That's true.
And these guys, it's a private university. They got a lot of money to throw around, and they're a big deal in the DFW area and that whole area. You're just not going to be able to compete. You think that Bethany's Ice Cream or whatever, Beth Marie's Ice Cream is going to be able to throw a bunch of money instead of a place down in University Park?
I mean,
like
they got some
SMU
good ice cream. I mean,
you're telling me that you don't think Crooked Crust could sit there and throw out the seven-figure to the top recruits in the nation? Are you kidding me?
You'll be lucky if you get a pizza named after Crooked Crust. But it's a symptom. Obviously, like you said, UNT is not a sports school, but it's not just UNT. You'll see a lot of these smaller schools have issues keeping players when they can go to bigger schools, bigger markets, get more money because they know they're not going to the NFL.
Yeah, that's true. And so one thing I'll say in terms of this, because I do agree in large part that the NIL and stuff that needs to be regulated and everything. But you brought up Desmond Ridder. I'm going to bring up another quarterback really quick in this class, and that's Matt Corral of Ole Miss. That knee injury, again, now he's in a different situation. He's in a big program. He's going to get his paid. But he lost millions of dollars playing in college, wrecked his knee. Again, we can talk about the money and all the other stuff. But, again, a lot of these players, they may not, sit there and play in the NFL. They might lose their scholarship. So the ability to make money off of it, I think it's good in its place. But it does need to be regulated. It does need to have some retraction to it. So we'll see how the NCAA does it in the future.
Yeah, well, that's going to close it out for hour 1 of the Fools on the Stools podcast. I promise you don't want to miss, as I always say, you don't want to miss Cullen's Corner. He's got another list cooked up for us. He always does, but it's just as hot as ever. We're also going to hit a little bit of Anthony's Alley today.
Yes, sir.
Let's give a good round of applause to Ryan for being here for us.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. This was a lot of fun.
Go check out the main event on Spotify and
KNTU.
And KNTU. Yes.
That's the main event with Mason Shepard, my good co-host, and Ryan Baldwin. That's me. And be sure to listen to the Fools on Stools as well. These guys are just plain awesome.
We appreciate that, Ryan. We appreciate that. Y'all be sure to come back for hour 2. Don't forget, grab your stool and be a fool.